Silence is not golden. Why brands must share product sustainability stories. Storytelling sells. When customers connect with the why behind a product, it builds trust, boosts preference, and can increase perceived value by up to 22 ties. One strong narrative can lift an entire brand. Connected customers are up to 2 times more valuable, and 70% say they'll spend more on brands they believe in. This isn't just about emotional connection, it's about unlocking real business value. Despite many brands collecting supply chain data for compliance purposes, brands are missing the opportunity to leverage this data to tell authentic, values-driven product narratives, which could turn transactions into lasting loyalty. So, why don't more brands do it? It's not a lack of demand or data, but a missed opportunity. A big opportunity hiding in plain sight. Product-level sustainability storytelling is no longer just brand reputation, it's a growth driver. According to a June 2025 Harvard Business Review study, products labeled as sustainable led to a 13 to 14% increase in demand, sustained for over 8 weeks. This wasn't due to elaborate campaigns, but increased consumer knowledge. This isn't a niche play anymore. It's the next evolution of product positioning and marketing. A major challenge in sustainable consumerism is the gap between stated intentions and actions. Surveys consistently show most consumers want to make sustainable choices, but convenience and price often win at purchase. That's not because people are lying. It's because the necessary information isn't always visible, credible, or compelling enough at the moment of purchase. Product-level sustainability stories help close that gap. By making impact tangible and showing a product was made with care for people and the planet, brands empower consumers to act on their intentions. They remove doubt, reduce friction, and make the better choice feel obvious. People want to feel something about the things they buy. A real sustainability story provides that connection, articulating how a product came to be and why its creation aligns with consumer values, imbuing it with purpose and a human touch. Why aren't more brands doing it? Not every brand has earned the right to tell a sustainability story. Some haven't invested meaningfully in better materials, responsible sourcing, or ethical production. If that's the case, silence may be appropriate, but these businesses are falling behind and missing an opportunity. However, many brands have made real progress, introducing recycled materials, improving factory conditions for workers, switching to renewable energy, or reducing water use. So why aren't they talking about it? Fear and complexity. 1. Fear of greenwashing accusations. Growing scrutiny of sustainability claims is positive, forcing businesses beyond vague promises, estimate-based reporting, and marketing fluff. Regulators like the FTC, US, the European Commission, EU, and authorities in the UK and Canada are raising the bar with clearer guidance, new disclosure requirements, and enforcement of credible environmental and social claims. This accountability is essential and long overdue. But it's also created a new dynamic, green hushing. Faced with unclear internal processes or inconsistent data, some brands remain silent about real sustainability progress to avoid being called out. While understandable, it's a missed opportunity. When brands go quiet, consumers often assume nothing is happening. In a world where trust is built on transparency, silence looks like the status quo. Number 2, supply chain complexity. Most brands struggle to get primary data from their supply chain partners. And even if the business has it, marketing teams don't have easy access to the granular product-level sustainability data they'd need to make credible claims. And when data does exist, it's often fragmented, inconsistent, or tied up in compliance documents that never make it to the brand side. The solution? Provable progress. Real standards and real data turn sustainability claims into proof. When brands use verified supply chain data aligned with established and credible frameworks like the Higg Index, they strengthen credibility, reduce greenwashing risk, and build trust. This approach also streamlines reporting. Suppliers can share standardized data across partners, while brands gain scalable year-over-year insights rooted in actual practices, not estimates. Forward-looking companies are using this data to power product passports, trace materials, and embed transparency into consumer touchpoints from QR codes. A story worth telling. When done right, product-level storytelling pays off. Higher conversion. Verified claims increase demand by 13 to 28%. Risk reduction. Transparent, data-backed claims mitigate regulatory, reputational, and competitive risks. Stronger loyalty. Emotional connection equals higher retention. Brand differentiation. Stand out in a crowded apparel market. Regulatory readiness. Get ahead of green claims, DPP, SEC, FTC enforcement. Internal alignment. Marketing plus sustainability sourcing, working together on impact and growth. Let's not forget the cultural upside. It brings marketing into the sustainability conversation in a credible way. Not as spin doctors, but as storytellers of substance. Beyond sales, shifting expectations. Marketing isn't just a commercial function, it's a lever for impact. In the context of sustainability, it may be one of the most underused tools. The upside of product-level sustainability storytelling isn't limited to conversion lifts or brand loyalty. The long game is something bigger, changing what consumers expect from the products they buy. When people see and understand how a product was made, its environmental footprint, it doesn't just influence that purchase. It reshapes what good looks like, not just for one brand, but for an entire category. It sets a new bar and turns casual shoppers into conscious ones. If brands apply even a fraction of their storytelling power towards sustainable narratives, they could shift entire markets. We've seen this before, in food, in wellness, in tech, where brand marketing redefined consumer norms. Sustainability is no different. With every product-level story, brands have the opportunity to create a virtuous circle. Even a modest shift in consumer preference toward lower-impact materials or ethically produced goods can add up quickly, reducing emissions, conserving water, improving labor conditions, and accelerating accountability across global supply chains. This isn't about shifting the burden of sustainability onto the marketing department, but it is about recognizing that storytelling shapes culture. You don't have to tell every story, but if you're not telling any, you're missing one of the biggest brand building and culture shaping opportunities of this decade. Jay Gaines, Chief Marketing and Content Officer at Worldly, leads global marketing and deploys data insights to embed sustainability into operations. With 2 decades of B2B leadership, he empowers businesses for growth and positive impact, excelling in go-to-market strategies, team building, and data transformation. He's also an Emmy-nominated producer.